Hello everyone. In this lecture, I will cover the features of object-oriented language and I will cover the comparison of object-oriented programming language and procedure-oriented programming language. The features of the object-oriented programming language. The first feature is object. Now, what is object basically? The real-time entity has some state and behavior. This all the real-time entity is called as an object. Say for the example, chair. Chair having the color. It can be a small chair. It can be a big chair for the adult. It can be a rest taking chair. It can be a non-rest taking chair. You can take the example pen, table, keyboard. Keyboard having the state like company name, then size of the keyboard, then whether it is a wired keyboard or unwired keyboard. You can take the example of bike also. Bike having the property, bike company name, average of the bike, whether it is a auto start bike or self start bike, or you have to press the kick. You can take the another example. If I want to create one application that should display the student result in my program. To displaying the student result, I am having two students in my school. One student having the name Ram. He is a boy. He is 12 years old and he is studying in standard 8. I am having another student. The name of the student is Sita. She is a girl. She is 5 years old and she is studying in KG1, kindergarten 1. These two are the real-time objects and I want to print the result of these two students, and this both the students are working in my school and I want to create one program that should calculate and print the result of this student. So if I am going to observe these things, then these two are the physical and logical entity. These two entity having some states like name, states like gender, states like age, state like standard in which they are studying. And I want some behavior on that same object. I want to calculate their results. So this is called the behavior, and behavior can be represented by methods in the class. This all the values is related to objects, and this all are called as a state. Also, and this name, gender, age, then class, these all are also called the properties of the object. This property having some value, and this value is different for all the objects inside your application or inside your program or inside your entity. Another feature is object-oriented language is class. Class, that means if you are observing the objects of your application, then you will able to identify some common structure available in all the objects. Here these two all are the objects and both having some common structure like name, gender, age. This common structure is represented by the class in the object oriented language. In object oriented language, this all the objects are collection of all the objects are derived from one class. That means the class is a basically collection of objects. This all the objects are created from some class. So it is a basically a logical entity And basically class provides the basic structure to all the objects. It provides the blueprints to all the objects. If you will see the object structure, then all the objects having the common structure. Now this class can be represented by this UML diagram. This UML diagram, UML is a unified modeling language which is used to represent the object oriented concept. This UML notation, UML having the graphical notations, and this is the class notation. This notation is used to represent class of your program. It is having one rectangle, and rectangle having three parts. In first part, we are generally writing the class name. Second part is used to represent the properties of the class. We can say the data member of the class, or we can say the field of the class fields, data fields. All the fields having the names. Here the field name is name, age, standard, and all the fields having some data types to store the value of the objects. The name having the data type is string, age having the data types is integer, standard having the data type string. The third part of the rectangle is used to represent the functions. Functions that might be operate on the objects. Here the calculate result and display result. Here is a result. It is my mistake. Calculate result and display result, both are the function, and this void is a return type of the function. And in my software, I want this two function, calculate result and display result function. So to represent these functions, to represent this function, we have to use the third number rectangle part, and this single rectangle represent the class. If you want to represent the same structure by using the code, then the structure will be like this. Class, the class name is student. Then the body of the class, here is the body of the class. Start body, start brackets and end brackets. Inside this bracket, you can represent your data member of the class, and you can represent the functions of the class. These two things you can bind inside the single class, and this is called the class. So in object-oriented language, first you need to observe the objects of your application or system. After finding the object, you have to identify which are the properties of the objects and which are the functions that you require for that objects. By observing these things, you have to decide the basic structure, common structure for that object, all the objects, and that common structure will be represented by the class, and this is called as a class object-oriented feature. Then third feature is abstraction. Abstraction, that means hiding the internal details and showing only the functionality. It is known as the abstraction. For example, if you are going to call someone from your mobile, then we don't know the internal processing, how it is going, it is going to make the call, how it is connected with the end user from our mobile. We cannot find out it. That means the actual functionality is abstracted from the users. So it is called the abstraction mechanism. In Java, this class and interface is this both having the syntax that provides the abstraction mechanism. That means outside of the class, you cannot identify the actual internal behavior. This outside of class, you cannot identify the actual behavior, that it is called the abstraction. You first have to create the object, then you can call the function, but what is inside the function, that you will not able to identify. So this feature is called as an abstraction feature. This class keyword and another concept like class is an interface in Java. This both provides you the abstraction mechanism. Third, next feature of object-oriented language is encapsulation. Encapsulation, that means wrapping or binding code and data together into single unit is known as the encapsulation. Code, that means you can tell as a function. You can bind your data and function together inside the single entity is called as an encapsulation. See the syntax of the class. In the class body, you are binding your data members and member function. These two are called as a member function inside the single body of the class. Inside the single body. So this is called as an encapsulation. Binding your data and function together in a single body is called as a So let me stop with this encapsulation. So all of you clear about the abstraction and encapsulation, these two features of Java? Now another next object oriented features is inheritance, and about the inheritance I will cover in my continuous video lecture that will be next. So please see my next lecture for the to learn the features of the object oriented, more feature of the object oriented language.